Welcome. Thank you for joining me today. It's going to be a very good session, and it's going to be a 3-part back-to-back session. So sorry I'm a couple minutes late. My tech services, which is me, had a couple things she had to polish up. So today we're going to start. I just want to give you a little bit of an agenda for the next few hours. I'm going to be doing things incorporated into your everyday life that just make of living better. So I've broken this into 3 sessions. The first is a seated session for those of you that are, maybe new users. You're perhaps a little bit fearful in getting started. Maybe you're dealing with some medical concerns or recovering from something. So that will be session 1. In 1 hour from now, at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be going into weight bearing. Weight bearing is standing on the machine, and we're not going to get into too much crazy fitness or anything. But if you do have fatigue issues, if you're dealing with pain, if you're dealing with symptoms of any kind, you'll notice so far my setup has a stool. Have a stool with you throughout the course of all 3 sessions. If at any time you feel fatigued, or you just want to take a rest, or you're just sick of my endless rambling and you want to take a seat, a stool, a bar height stool to get you a little bit higher up is always a great tool to incorporate. And we will be using the stool for the first series of exercises that I'm going to be doing right now. I'm just sharing this into the VIP group. And the second session, which will happen in about an hour, I also recommend keeping your stool handy. Maybe you're starting to do some weight bearing, but maybe fatigue or instability is a concern, and you may want to do a combo. Anything that I do in any of my sessions are not an absolute definitive you have to do it this way. So please listen to your body. If you feel at any time that you're doing too much, taking on more than you're ready for, know your own parameters and adhere to them. Simply guidelines coming out of my mouth. But I do encourage you to, at the same time, not just go through the motions. For those of you that follow me for a lot of my symptom management guidelines, it's great that you are using it often. But even for symptom management, much like exercise, your body can get used to, the settings or the durations or the type of moves that you're doing. So I do encourage you to tweak things, whether that's in a form of a setting, the order of your positions, maybe doing a few more positions, maybe pushing your durations or your effort a little bit. So make sure that you don't get stagnant, whether it's symptom management or fitness. You'll plateau in the results overall. Okay, so we are there. I will get someone who has, I see that some of you are ping, bing, bing, bing. There's a few of you here now. So if you are joining me, I invite you to be part of the conversation. Let's get some comments going. And for this first session, which is seated, regardless of what you may be dealing with as far as a diagnosis, condition, symptom, I'm trying to offer a general approach, a universal approach that anyone can do if you're below baseline. So if you're dealing with conditions of any kind that are holding you back from, living your life in the full capacity in which you would like to, today's series of exercises are very simple. I want you to get into the habit of doing these regularly. And I find sometimes if we can keep it short, sweet, and consistently build on a theme, for those of you that aren't big exercise gurus, it's easier to get mindful about doing them. It's less intimidating. And the overall goal, of course, is to improve your day-to-day function wherever you are starting from. So if someone could just let me know on the other end if they see and hear me okay, I'll walk back to my little plate station and I'll get shaken here. And if you are joining me today, thank you, first of all, for joining. If you have a specific question, I will be leaving. I'm only going to be about 10-15 minutes actual machine time and talking today. Hi, Joan. Thank you very much. I assumed if I was coming through funny, you would let me know. So thank you for confirming that. I appreciate it. If you do have specific questions, or you're fearful in any way, or you're concerned, or you've had a poor experience, I want to empower you with the confidence in how to resume using this thing that I'm sure you did a fair bit of research on. For those of you that still have it in the box because fear has kept the tape on it, hopefully by the end of today's session, if anything, I give you a little bit of confidence on getting started with it. And the sooner you get started and just playing around and being curious, there's no absolute path. The sooner you start noticing little things and improving in how you feel. The last thing I want anyone doing is leaving it till the 29th day. And, I got 30 days to try this thing out and try it. You're not giving really the machine or yourself an honest chance if you're making a decision out of financial haste and that's not the way to approach your health. So please, if you've got a machine in the box, if you haven't been using it in a while, I encourage you to dust it off and stick with me live now, or even watch this later on a recorded basis. Hello, Miss Vicky. Vicky, I love you. How are you doing? I haven't seen you in a little while. Haven't done a session in a few weeks. This is a good session to hit the record. My son is umpiring the World Series, so I'll be watching that tonight. Well, you better be. That's excitingly cool, Vicky. If you want to give me props for your kid here, I give you a license to drop it. Kristen, hello. Thank you so much. I don't know that I've seen you on a live yet, so welcome. Thank you for joining me. Dottie Wilson, nice to see you. How are you? I think I've seen you here before, and I'm pretty sure I've seen Joan before. So let me get rambling more about what to do and drinking. See my mug? What the cluck? For those of you that have done intimate sessions with me, yes, I am a Canadian, and I do drop the odd PG-14 comment. So we're going to get started. Common question I always like to address. I am using only oscillating movement today. Oscillating movement is kind of the foundational movement of how these things work. And it most mimics, how our body walks across the floor. So for most of us, if you've tried different vibration plate movement styles, most of us lean and prefer that oscillating because it feels more natural to our body. Our central nervous system kind of knows what it is. It works with our skeletal structure best. All of Lifepro's vibration plates, with the exception of the new voice-activated models, are oscillating. Some of you may have more features. You may have pulsation. You may have lateral. You may be able to combine those. And for those of you that just ride around in the programs, there's a little bit of scientific understanding in the background here. And I just want to give you a brief little summary of that. With oscillating has more things that you can control and manipulate. So it's not harder to understand, but it does take a little bit more experimenting. And once you kind of understand the two setting values, that you are always in control of whatever position, symptom, whatever it is that you're on this thing for, is going to be more easily navigated, and you can tailor it to your level of comfort and goals. So I'm going to get this going in manual oscillating mode. For those of you that have never done this, as soon as you turn your machine on, doesn't matter what model, if you hit the forward button, the play button, and start it, default is manual mode. So manual mode, oscillating, we're moving side to side. And for those of you that have not experimented, for all of today's sessions, because I'm not going to beat you up every time with the lessons, but remember that you are always in control in oscillating. Your foot or hand placement controls the intensity or how strong the movement feels. So closer feet is less movement, less impact. Wider feet is more movement, more impact. Vibration plates aside, is it always better to work with maximum impact? No, many of you would laugh at me and say that's ridiculous. But I do have many people that say, well, everybody knows that wide is better. It's actually not. It's just what you see in a lot of the marketing. So for functional fitness, because today the theme is functioning better, we don't walk across the floor with our feet really, really wide. We typically have them in line with our hips, okay? So I want your feet positioned, before we even talk speed, I want your feet positioned I ever so sorry. Dottie, the last comment I see. Do you see me moving now and I'm not frozen? Are we back? So sorry, guys. Frozen. Deb, Andrea, hello, everyone. I'm seeing 12 of you are here. Please let me know if you are seeing this on the other end, if you could join back in the comments, or if I need to do a restart here. Deborah says yes. Fantastic, Deborah. Thank you. There's about it depends on what platform you're on. There's anywhere from a 20-second to a 1-minute delay from me pinging from Restream to Facebook to your phone to. So thank you. I did have a power surge there, of course, killed my internet. So it restarted. So thank you for your patience. This is the perfect opportunity to continue and resume. We had gotten our plate started. And for those of you that are just joining, I was just cut off and I have already rambled for a few moments on some introductory pieces. For those of you that have been here since the beginning, I will just resume kind of where I left off. I was talking about amplitude and intensity and impact. So walking on the ground, we are hip width apart as a starting position for your feet for the duration of all exercises for tonight's classes. So for this session, the next one in and out at the top of the hour, and then my last session running at 8 p.m. this evening, your feet and your settings will be universal. If you choose to increase or decrease the intensity of your foot position, it's completely a tolerance thing. But for those of you just beginning, I encourage you to be conservative. So keep those feet hip width apart or closer. If at any time you find as we increase the speed settings, it becomes a little bit too much for you. So we're going to couple it. We're going to be complementing our mid foot position with a medium or mid speed range. I'll never give you an exact number because every model is completely different and it's not a universal thing. I'm on the mini, which puts out 99 speeds, and I'm working at about speed 50. So 40 to 50. If you're on a Rumblex that has 60 speed, I want you trying in the 20 to 30 range. Bring your feet closer, as I said, but what you will find is as you get going a little bit faster, it's much smoother. It's much more tonic. And for those of you that are looking to regain function, the topic of today's sessions, I think you'll find faster with a closer foot position is much more of a comfortable starting point than a slow speed. We always think start slow, but we're not talking about one factor only in oscillating. If you go wide with a slow speed, and you can hear the impact on my feet, and I'm not even standing on it yet, you're moving more than maybe your body is prepared for. You're moving lots of lymph, lots of circulation. There's perpetual benefits when you use a vibration plate, things that occur every time you use it. And for those of you that are dealing with inflammation, any kind of symptoms, if you're having to do extra self-care because you have that many symptoms, that's who I'm talking to. I don't want you taking on max impact or max time. So as a position, please keep those feet no more than hip width apart or closer, as I said, if you find any of the speed ranges too strong. So again, we're working with the mid-speed. If mid-speed is still scaring you, I beg you to at least bring it up from the bottom speed. Try bringing it up to 10, 20 speeds just to smooth things out a bit. So the first exercise we're going to start with, we're kind of already doing. In a seated position, for those of you that follow my seated use guidelines, I always recommend sitting in a bar height or a counter height stool. It allows the legs to be more functionally at a 90-degree angle. When we get into progressive exercises later on where we stand, how many times in a day do each of you go from the position of sitting to standing? Many, many times, whether you're getting up from the breakfast table or getting up out of your car. And it's a very, very functional exercise, but many of us sit lower. Our hips are lower than our knees' natural height, and the alignment has our hips kind of going downhill a bit, and it makes it very much harder to get up out of the chair. So when you're training on the vibration plate, especially if you're dealing with weakness and fatigue. By being at least at a 90-degree angle, you're not having to come from downhill and get into unnatural or uncomfortable positions. So this is a more natural way to stand up. We're not doing that yet. So the first exercise we're going to work on is we just want to add a little bit to this. So just by sitting here, the machine in itself, the benefit of using a vibration plate versus just doing seated chair exercises is you're getting a rush of circulation and lymphatic fluid. You're getting better proprioception. You're reducing pain. You're kind of priming the central nervous system for what you may do to it next. So we can do a little bit more than just sit here. So functionally, the stronger that we can keep those calves, the better we can improve that range in the ankles. We're going to do some little foot pumps. So we're going to come up to the toes, up to the balls of the feet, and we're going to come back down to the heels, and we're going to lift the toes. And two options for this first exercise. Okay, if you can, you might be able to see a little bit better in the mirror. What if I do this? I'm trying to see what you can see in the mirror. Maybe that's better. Okay, so focusing on my foot movements. We're coming up like we're wearing 6-inch stilettos. If your range does not allow you to do that, work within your own range. Back down. So two ways that you can approach this exercise. It's not a total time. It really depends on you and what you're dealing with. So, I mean, if you're exercising now and you're just doing this as a feel-good thing, you could do this for a minute. If you're coming from a place of recovery, poor health, you're dealing with some conditions, I challenge you to use the plate more often, but with shorter sessions. So you can do this 30 seconds total. So you're probably doing 10, 12 reps. If you'd like to go longer to a minute, that's fine. Sometimes repeating or doing exercises in reps. So today's program, the 4 total exercises we're going to do, you can try for a minute a piece, or you can do each of them twice for 30 seconds and do it more like a loop where you're doing eight sets of exercises, repeating the first 4, just doing a second set. Okay, so that's the first exercise that I would really like you to focus on. Now, one thing I'm really bad of, and I see it in the mirror, is postural stuff. You're so busy looking at the feet, and we're doing so good. I want you, while you're seated, to just be very mindful of our posture. So instead of slouching, where you can almost feel thick, target the end of your tailbone. When you're slouching, your tailbone is pointed in. Force that tailbone back a little bit. Bring that arch in the low back a bit. Chest is out, shoulders are back. So focus on nice straight spine, good posture in the shoulders. You want a slight arch in the back, tailbone back versus tailbone forward slouching. See the difference? Okay. So incorporate that with all of your seated exercises. And we're going to get into a purposeful exercise next. So this is just warming up the legs, getting a little bit of blood flowing. If you did want to get a little bit more total body warm up, an addition could be adding the elbows to the knees. Just relax. You may find that when you get into upper body, if it's too intense, it's not a setting, it's the feet. Bring those heels a little bit closer to the center to reduce the intensity. You may have less tolerance up top than you do in the legs, okay? And 30 seconds, like I say, to a minute per position or add-on, if you will. So being mindful of our posture. I'm going to take this off so you can see my spine a little better. Okay, those shoulders are back. Pelvis is tilted backwards, just slightly. You're not forcing it, but the pelvis is tilted backwards. What I want you to do now is we're going to add some upper body movements. Functionally, you're probably taking things out of cupboards, putting your shoes on, driving your car. We do a lot of things upper body in a day, but we don't really focus, especially as ladies, we don't target these areas as exercise until you see there's a problem. So we're going to do some goalposts, and I've done this in my standing exercises. I've done this with some of my seated, where we're just putting our arms up like a goalpost, and we're going to purposefully slightly tilt that pelvis forward so we are arching, and at the same time we're going to bring those forward. We're going to exhale on this movement. So we're going to look like this. We're going to tilt the pelvis back. Take a nice big inhale. Hold, 2, 3. Tilt that pelvis slightly forward. arms, exhale. And we're going to just do this in a very slow, fluid movement. So inhale, pelvis back, arms back, shoulders straight, exhale. Pelvis forward, arms forward, slight arch forward, stacking those ribs. Back. Okay. You may want to shoot for 4 or 5 good reps. Again, 30 seconds to a minute. Really depends on you. But it's a really good way to just open up the chest, the shoulder blades. You know, many of you have been hunched over a desk all day. Okay. And any of these exercises on their own can be done just as a symptom management thing throughout the day instead of just sitting here. So the next variation that we're going to add, if you're feeling comfortable, be mindful of that breathing, be mindful of the posture, is I want you to work on, we're going to slightly start increasing the amount of mass. We're not going to stand up, but we're going to get close to almost standing up. I want to get a little bit more strength going in the legs. I already talked 10 minutes. Here I go. Again, you're a mid-speed range. And what you're going to do is I want you shifting your weight slightly forward like you're just about ready to get up, but you're going to hold still. You'll feel those hamstrings engaged. Make sure those heels are into the plate. And then I want you to get back. Just take a 2-second break. You're going to lean forward like you're about ready to get up. Putting more mass, you'll feel it through the knees. Knees aren't passing the toes. Almost off that stool, but not quite. If that's hard for you, if you lack stability in the legs or strength and you prefer to hang on, put your hands on your seat. You might need to use a little upper body to give you, okay, a little bit balance. But this is just, it's not weight bearing, but it's challenging the legs a little bit more to become more engaged, support more mass. And it's kind of the first step in that getting up out of the chair thing that many of you struggle with, okay? So we're going to try that. 2 more reps, we'll try that. But again, with this exercise, 30 seconds to a minute, whatever feels comfortable for you. You can put your hands on your thighs, hold them up. I don't know why I'm holding them up here. I just feel like I'm ready to jump out of my chair. But shift forward slightly. Those heels are not digging, but they're supporting your mass. You're about ready to get up, and we're going to hold. Okay? An add-on for those of you that are comfortable and do have confidence with your upper body strength, your stability, you're using your arms now to get up out of the chair. Place your hands beside you and keeping your feet again hip width apart. Palms, I'm hanging onto the side of my stool on each side, you can see here. And all I'm going to do is I just want you to lift your bum off just slightly. So this would be the next progression. Little bit more weight, holding, 2, 3, sit back down. I used to call this the seated chair plank. You can feel those abs engage while you're doing this. I'm not talking going beyond your range where you're wrenching your shoulders. I just want you lifting your butt up off the chair and let those legs support the weight and use your arms just to balance off, if possible. If that's too hard on the shoulders, that may not be an exercise for you. Just a suggestion I recommend that you try. The next one we're going to do is some seated marches. And we're going to incorporate some arm swings with this. This is going to be our final exercise. This is 4 exercises. For those of you that maybe want to do more or you want a longer workout, you could do a repeat on the exercises that I've done. Perhaps you've got other things that you'd like to add. But really, to get functional, it's not about doing it longer or making what you're doing more functional. It's just consistently doing these good muscle building positions that are going to keep you stable and moving forward and hopefully progressing to standing on the machine, which will be next session. So this one, we're going to opposite arm. We're not going to go super fast. I want kind of slow, controlled movements. Okay. Again, that pelvis is slightly tilted forward. We want good posture. Okay. Lifting. You might want to have some tunes going. Again, 30 seconds to a minute on this one. If you struggle with this and you got hip issues going on or you're really below baseline and you're just not strong enough to lift that foot up, Keep the balls of the foot in contact, but keep the arms swinging. So a reduced version of that one would look like this, where we're just lifting, kind of like those foot pumps we started with, but just a smaller motion. Maybe you've got ones, maybe you need to do littler reps and go a little faster. Maybe that slow, purposeful movement is just more than your hip can sustain. So, the whole point is get moving. For those of you looking for lymphatic benefits, when you move, lymph moves. So these types of exercises, whether you're using, I'm itchy, got a dog hair on there, whether you're using a vibration plate or you're in your chair at work, do what you can and do it regularly, a minute or two here and there to activate the lymphatic system, get that circulation flowing versus one big, long, mean session. I absolutely recommend, little micro sessions, if you will, and let your symptoms drive that. If you do have access to your machine during the day, maybe you need a couple minutes on the low back before you get on a call, or maybe you've got neuropathy or Raynaud's, or you're dealing with sensitivity issues, and you just need to hit yourself with some circulation and some lymph. A lot of these are awesome ways to just treat symptoms throughout the day. So let's recap the 4 very simple exercises. We started seated, just to give the body a little bit of a primer, get the flow going. To repeat settings, we are working hip width apart with our foot position. If at any time these exercises are a little more than you're feeling ready for, do not adjust the speed, adjust the feet. Bring those feet a little bit closer first. Speed, I want you at a mid-range. The really slow speeds, I started low. Everybody argues with me, but low on a vibration plate is very different than on a treadmill or an elliptical. Low is very destabilizing, very choppy. And your body's got more reactive time to guard and protect. So I think you'll find a closer foot placement, reducing the amount of movement, the amount of impact with a faster speed is going to be so much more suitable until you feel more comfortable to take on more. So the first exercise was basically just seated. I suggested that if you did want a little bit more upper body, you can actually add the hands by locking the arms to get a little bit of mild stimulation. But my preference is going right into it, getting those elbows on the knees, if range of motion, girth allows. If once you get the upper body exposed, it's more than the neck and the shoulders are comfortable with, again, reduce the foot position. You may find throughout the course of an exercise or by doing a different exercise, your tolerance changes depending on the body part being corrected or being affected. So, right now with my feet hip width apart, I can tolerate this quite well. And, I like rolling my shoulders and my head around in circles. But for those of you just starting out, or I don't know, maybe you're dealing with degenerative neck or some kind of issue, this for you personally may not be as tolerable. So it's safer than going for the remote and pushing buttons. Think of those heels as the control. Okay, wherever the heel is in contact, that drives the intensity. So start with the heels close, see how it feels, then maybe widen up. Experiment and just, guys, really be aware of the body you're starting with. You have more insight than I do, and if it doesn't feel good or something's uncomfortable, this is not something that you should have to endure. Okay, keep it to 30 seconds, see how you feel. If you're a little more conditioned, even a minute, but keep it minimal and be consistent. You can always do more later. So the second exercise we moved into were some foot pumps, where we came up on the toes, heels, lifted the balls of the feet, lifted the heels, lifted the balls of the feet. The heels are the ankles, the calves. They're a very, very important area of our body. They're that blood return. They keep us upright and under a lot of different, it's amazing how many different moves and things our body do in a day without us even realizing, you're doing functional exercise all day long. But as we get older, some of the function isn't with the same veracity or fluidity perhaps as it was in our youth. And for those of you looking to regain function, you're recovering from a surgery or injury, start seated. That's why I always start with seated sessions. So the next variation was some postural work. So I was trying to teach you about good posture, but by tilting the pelvis or the tailbone backward or tucking it forward, you're manipulating and changing the angle of your spine. Let's call it a seated cat-cow for those of you that are familiar with this. So let's get a little bit more total body. The third exercise was goalposts with tilts, seated. So we were tilting forward, exhaling on our breath, coming back, tilting that tailbone backward. Nice deep breath. And exhale, we're bringing forward and tucking that tail forward. Tail, tailbone. You know, and again, 30 seconds to a minute, gait. You know, less is always more starting out. This is a really good seated all-in-one exercise. You certainly can stand there, but logically, people, the more that you're going to add to the function you're doing, the more the function's going to improve, the more benefits you're going to get that you're probably seeking anyways. And the last exercise, of course, I'm drawing a blank, having a moment here. My settings are not what they'd like to be. We want to reiterate again that you're always in control with the foot positions. The next exercise we did was some preps to stand up. So if you're comfortable with your foot position and it's hasn't caused you any issue on the previous positions, you can probably continue with it. If you have a fear of falling and that's why you're not standing on the machine, this is a good exercise to just help develop a little bit more leg strength without standing. So we were shifting forward, putting more weight into that. You put the hands on the knees, but you just want to get those thighs engaged, weight's going in through the heels, and then we sit back. Good posture. We shifted forward like we're getting ready to stand. Again, 30 seconds to a minute, however many reps. Okay. Little bit more of a challenging variation that we tried on that one. If the arms allow and the shoulders allow, hands on the stool, lifting just that butt off the chair and putting a little bit more mass into the legs. My yoga pants are slipping off my chair. Lifting, holding, trying getting that mass into the legs. Okay. And as I said, any one of these single exercises that you may, instead of just sitting there, if you're just trying to get a fix during the day, or maybe you want to add a little bit more to the routine that you're doing, any of these can be single seated exercises. And if you're looking for more specific stuff, go on to Google. Many of you are using AI, functional seated exercises. Look some up. There's a bazillion out there. You certainly don't need to do them all. But the reason I chose the 4 exercises we're working with today is many of the people that I work with, young and old, struggle getting up out of that chair. And if you look like this and you got to use your arms to do it, you're probably sitting a little lower than you should. But these are great ways to just get some strength, some energy, some life into those legs and hopefully get you ready for the next session. The next session we are going to be doing at the top of the hour will be primarily standing. But again, caution you to have your chair handy. If you're just in that transitional phase or you're dealing with anything where, fatigue or fear may be present, having a stool handy is great if you need something to hang on to for stability, or if you want to sit back down and just listen to me ramble instead of join in. So I want to give you guys a chance for some questions. And with all my technical issues in starting and then getting cut off, I just want to make sure I give you guys some time. So I'm going to quickly go through and say a quick hello to everybody who's here. For those of you that are joining me, if you do want to at this point ask me a quick question, please make sure that you are on the main Lifepro page, not answering through the VIP or my groups where I've shared the live. You have to be in the main Lifepro page where the event is being broadcast. And those are the comments that I will come and see on this end. So where am I at here? Let me scroll back up. And again, thank you. Everyone who is here, I would love it if you'd make a comment. If you do have something specific you'd like to ask me and you're seeing this, of course, on a recorded basis, just tag me at Debby with a Y. Maybe you want to ask after the fact, you're a little shy live, anything like that. Just tag me at Debby with a Y, and for sure I'll get the notification on my end. So again, hello, Joan, Dottie, Vicky, of course, Kristen, Joan again, Dottie again, Joan again. Hello, Andrea. Sorry for the frozen, and Deb for the frozen as well. Yes, I had an internet glitch there. Vicky says the feed froze. So did Dottie. Hello, Betty. So nice to see you here. I'm back. I hope you're still with me. Deborah Wright is here. Hi, Deborah. Nice to see you. I love all the Debs joining me. Kathy, hello. Yes, I am back. Thank you. Vicky sees me back, Dottie. Judith, hello, Judith. Nice to see you. Any new names? And I see Shanna. Where can I find videos to do a routine on the Lifepro? Do you offer videos? If you're joining me on the Lifepro main page, there is a VIP group. So if you're watching me from Lifepro's main public page, it's a streaming thing. That's where the streams will come through. Lifepro has an enormous private VIP group. And if you're not a member, that's where a lot of the workouts can be found, the internal discussions, that community peer group we're talking about. But the best place to find Lifepro videos is on YouTube. They're publicly accessible. So any of the lives we do will appear, just so you know, Shanna, and everyone watching knows, any of the lives we do, and this was a Facebook change about 6 months ago. So lives are no longer retained as a video as they used to be. They're there for 30 days. And then after 30 days, you'll find them for sure. We've got them on YouTube. If it's a video that's been uploaded to Facebook, it's a little bit different, but not everyone can access all the videos of the VIP group unless you're a member. So make sure you sign up. And for those of you that are looking, maybe you want to share it with mom or dad or your doctor, the YouTube links are the best ones to share. And they're categorized there's so many videos in there. There's probably close to 1,000 different ones between myself, Amber, and Roseanne, and many of them are duplicate topics. We do come to each of us are generally here live weekly, sometimes more if there's a launch or another something else we want to focus on. But collectively over the last 5 or 6 years, that's accumulated to a lot of videos. So they're broken down in Amber's, Roseanne's, and Deb's library separately. But what I love about YouTube, if you're looking for something topic specific or someone specifically that's done it, make sure that you try the search function. And I think you'll find lots there. Another really good place, if you are in the VIP group, and many don't take advantage of it, make sure you read through that welcome post. There's so much good information in there. Roseanne's links, Amber's links, and my links are in there. We don't link all of them, but I give you some suggested new user things, getting started, post-surgery, contraindications, those type of things. If you've got something specific that you do have questions on, and it's not always a cookie cutter program, this is a tool that makes exercise easier and more effective. So you want to use a vibration plate for all the same reasons your doctor wants you to be active. The plate just makes the active a little bit easier. And it can also be a very viable therapeutic tool. So sometimes once you realize, Debbie never offers a set it and forget it approach, because there's so many different ways that you can apply the tool. And in the virtual world, it's not like being in a studio where I can look and assess and touch and feel and know physically what you're dealing with. A lot of times we don't know what you're dealing with. So we try to get specific, but if we haven't gotten specific enough, make sure you post and certainly reach out and ask those questions. Donnie says, must run an errand, catch you on the VIP group. Thank you, Debbie. No problem. Thanks, Dottie. I appreciate you joining. And if you are waiting to be approved by the VIP group, please be patient. It has been just gangbusters since the Prime sale. A lot of people have bought in plates and need help using them. So, and make sure that you've answered all of the questions. If you just say join the group and don't fill out any of the questions, not anyone's going to get into that group. It is VIP for a reason. And if you have any issues, please reach out, of course, to Lifepro directly, and they'll help you out through their chat and so forth. So I've got about 10 minutes to the next session. The next session is starting at the top of the hour. So I look forward to seeing you at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. Pacific, for the weight-bearing standing session, which is next. An hour from then will be the advanced session, where there's going to be a little bit more challenge for those of you looking to improve your functional fitness. I look forward to seeing you guys all in about 10 minutes. Gonna get me a top up. Talk soon.